Okay, let's talk about Joker. But forget a simple movie review. We're going way deeper. The argument we're digging into today is that this film isn't just something you watch, it's an experience. It's a kind of initiation, a mirror that reflects a character, yeah, but also our society, and maybe, just maybe, ourselves.
So, the whole idea behind this analysis kicks off with a really provocative question. What if the Joker isn't a specific person at all, but an idea? You know, like a seed that could actually sprout in any of us. It's that little voice, that whisper in your darkest moments that says, hey, all this pain has to be for something, right? That's the seed the movie plants right in your head.
All right, so to really get the monster, the film does something clever. It forces us to meet the man first. And look, this is not your typical comic book villain origin story. We're not watching some evil genius being born. Instead, we're introduced to someone fragile. Someone who is, and this is the key part, disturbingly relatable.
I mean, just look at the difference here. We all walk into that theater expecting the Joker we know and love to hate, right? Chaos, evil, pure malice, the whole shebang. But what do we actually get? We get Arthur Fleck, a guy who's fragile, incredibly naive, and this is the heartbreaking part, still hopeful. It's like we're watching a child trapped in a man's body, an outcast that the world just loves to kick.
So just think about who Arthur is when we first meet him. He's this really sensitive guy. You know, he's caring for his mother. He's dedicated to his job, even though it's awful. He's trying so hard to hide his own suffering, and he has this dream of making people laugh. And that iconic laugh? The film completely turns it on its head. It's not some sign of malice. It's a chronic illness, a physical symptom of his deep, deep pain. There's a real innocence there, a kind of clumsiness that makes him seem, well, completely harmless.
So, if he's this innocent, hopeful guy, what's holding him back? What's keeping him trapped? Well, to really get inside Arthur's head, you have to look at the single most important relationship in his life, the one with his mother, Penny. It's complex. It's a prison, really, a psychological cage that's stopping him from ever growing up. Now, this whole situation has a name in psychology, and it's a classic concept from Carl Jung, the mother complex. Basically, Arthur is unconsciously totally tied to this perfect idealized image of his mom. He thinks he's taking care of her, but what he's really doing is keeping himself in the role of a child. He's shielding himself from the big, scary adult world.
And get this, Carl Jung himself could have been writing about Arthur Fleck. Just read this quote. A man living backwards, seeking his childhood and his mother and fleeing the wicked, cold world. That's Arthur in a nutshell. He's running away from a world that just doesn't get him, and he's retreating back into this fantasy where his mom can protect him. It's almost like they have this secret agreement to cheat life by just stopping time, preventing him from ever really growing up.
Okay, so we've got this psychological prison inside his head. But here's the thing. Arthur doesn't exist in a bubble. His own personal turmoil is a perfect, twisted reflection of the sick city he lives in, Gotham. And that environment, oh man, it's the gasoline on the fire. It becomes the ultimate catalyst for what's about to happen.
And the movie gives us such a specific, grim picture of this place in 1981. I mean, the city is literally rotting. There are mountains of trash on the streets from a huge garbage strike. Social tension is just bubbling up, ready to explode. And the politicians, they couldn't care less. Everyone is just left to fend for themselves. It's a city that is absolutely suffocating on its own filth and decay.
You know, there's this quote from the philosopher Albert Camus that just captures the feeling of Gotham perfectly. He talks about the unreasonable silence of the world. And that's Gotham. It's that feeling. What happens when people are screaming for help? For just a little bit of dignity, a little meaning, and all they get back is silence. Well, that's what's called the absurd.
So here's the really crucial point. Gotham isn't just a background for the story. It's corruption, it's despair. They don't just surround Arthur. They actively feed his inner darkness. The city is like an incubator, or maybe a pressure cooker, just magnifying the worst parts of human nature and nurturing all that repressed rage bubbling up in people, especially inside Arthur.
Okay, so you've got this immense pressure building up inside him and this decaying, hostile world pressing in from the outside. Eventually, something has to explode. But what's so fascinating here is the argument that Arthur's turn to violence isn't just a mental breakdown. No, it's something more. It's like a dark, twisted ritual, a metamorphosis. It's the birth of something terrifyingly new.
That first burst of violence on the subway. There's a psychological term for what happens there, an emotional hijack. Think about it. After years and years of repressed trauma,
of being pushed down. He hits one final moment of humiliation and snap. His emotional brain completely short-circuits his rational brain. It's pure, impulsive, overwhelming reaction. All thought goes out the window, and raw emotion takes the driver's seat.
This whole metamorphosis, it really unfolds like a dark rite of passage in 4 key stages. First, you have the subway, where his shadow self, all that darkness he's been pushing down, is finally unleashed. Then comes that incredible dance in the bathroom. That's the monster finding its body, its freedom. Third, the revelation about his mother just destroys the entire foundation of lies his life was built on. And finally, the murder. That's him severing the very last tie to the person he used to be, to Arthur Fleck.
Okay, but here's where this whole analysis takes a really sharp turn. Because the argument is that the movie's ultimate target, well, it isn't Arthur Fleck. It's us, the audience. This is where the viewer's own initiation really begins.
Because the film puts us in a deeply, deeply uncomfortable spot. Just think about it for a second. That scene on the subway. After everything we've seen this guy go through, all the humiliation, all the pain, when he finally shoots those men, isn't there a tiny little part of you that feels a sense of relief? Maybe even a feeling that they deserved it? The movie is built from the ground up to make you feel that.
And honestly, that is the film's masterstroke. It's absolutely brilliant. By forcing us to be a witness to his most intimate suffering, by masterfully manipulating our empathy, the director makes us more than just watchers. We become co-authors of his crimes. The second we feel that flicker of satisfaction at the chaos, the film has done its job. It's real weight than that shadow part inside of us, the part that reveals, hey, maybe that potential for madness is in all of us.
So to really understand what the Joker becomes, you gotta look at the whole archetype of the clown. I'm not talking about birthday parties. The clown, or the trickster, has always been this super powerful symbol in stories. Their job is to stir up chaos, yeah, but it's chaos with a purpose, to expose all the hypocrisy, to force everyone to look at the ugly truth they'd rather ignore. And for a city like Gotham, Joker becomes the ultimate agent of that chaotic truth-telling.
So this brings us to the big, controversial question. Does a movie like this make people violent? The analysis we're looking at says a firm no. Just like the city of Gotham itself, the film is a catalyst, not a cause. It's not going to make a stable, healthy person go out and do something violent. What it does is act like a mirror, a very dark mirror. It just reveals and reflects the darkness that's already there, simmering right below the surface of our society, and maybe, just maybe, in ourselves.
And so, we kind of end up right back where we started. The film's real power, its true punch to the gut, is in this one last, haunting question. It masterfully shifts our attention away from the character on the screen and forces us to look at our own reflection. The initiation is complete the moment we stop asking, who is the Joker? And we start asking ourselves, what part of him lives in me?